flavor if it's morning or afternoon on their commitments, but you run the risk if it's later in the afternoon of our staff, and if it's county staff, and they may be on different pay waves or whatever, but you run the risk of running into overtime if you're later in the day. Some staffing arrangements, not necessarily all of them, but that would be one thing that would be considered, I think.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Brian?
I guess I'll reiterate what I said earlier, that, you know, generally staff and council as well, all of us here are generally scheduled to be done the municipal day at 4 o'clock. And, you know, some have young families, some have other commitments to organizations to go to, supper not least of which is important some days. But I can go without lunch, but I can't go without supper. So if you're going to start your meeting at 3 and it's a long, contentious meeting, are you telling me you can go to midnight without a break? I don't think that's feasible. I mean, let's be realistic, and I know probably what the, well, I don't know what the law says, but I can imagine the law says you can't do that. But anyway, I'd rather start my day early than let it go late. You're thinking clear, you're fresher. I'm inclined to support my earlier position that let's start this at 9 o'clock, get the day done, and move on to other stuff.
Mayor, members of council, there were a couple of situations where public planning meetings have gone for an extended period of time. One was with, I believe, the region of Durham, where they went over 18 hours, and the city of Brampton, who went into 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with regards to their fluoride issue. So there have been circumstances, but that just shows you how you can't recess for a meeting. And the only person that has to be there the entire time is the clerk. Yeah, it's a lot. But no, but that's an instance. Other staff can come in and out. I know. The other thing is, I also have a standing appointment on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. So, and that's why I had changed that I don't need to go to community adjustment, and we have the 2 secretary treasurers going in my place. That way, I can make my standing appointment. Again, if we need to rearrange it, that's fine. It's what what the council prefers with regards to the overtime. Number one, the planner is compensated with overtime, and then the second one is if the deputy clerk or the legislative communications coordinator are required to be there. If we know in advance, we know we have at least 20 days notice that we have a public planning meeting, so we have 20 days to make arrangements. I do the same as well. We have those 20 days, and if we ever have an instance where we are having an issue with overtime, I'm able to do the meeting myself. That way we don't have to worry about the deputy clerk or the legislative and communications coordinator to be accumulating that overtime. So we have some mechanisms. The county would be another story, but that would be, we don't have to worry about their overtime. They do.
Thank you. Barbara?
So I guess that goes back to my comment that we need, even though these are our meetings, council's meetings, that we need to better consult with our staff as to what other obligations our decisions are interfering with. So now the clerk has a conflict already on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, so that could create a conflict there. We have staff who may have family obligations that they need to leave at 4 o'clock, and I respect that, whether it's family obligations or other commitments. And I don't think that, you know, us having a casual conversation about, you know, hey, wouldn't it be great if we just kind of lumped all these together? This makes great discussion, because now we understand that there's a lot of moving pieces, there's a lot of things to consider, and that maybe we should leave it status quo and have this discussion how we can accommodate those going forward, which is another reason why I suggested we not implement it until January 1st, so that we can look at all those moving pieces. You know, yeah, it'd be great to, you know, get us in one day. I mean, I would prefer to come in at 9 or 1 o'clock and not have to go home and come back, but it's not just about me. It's about how it affects everybody else.
Thank you. Joanne?
Mayor, members of council, I think another thing is that we're able to set the meeting. So if we have 4 applications or we have a contentious issue, what we've done in the past is make it an evening meeting. So that's something that we've done as well. So if we know that there's going to be a meeting with a subdivision or whatever it is, we've had them at night before. And I think we've been pretty good at that, because when we're doing planning applications, we're looking at it at least a month or 2 in advance. So if there is a situation where we do have to worry about something like that, we're going to be more open and transparent and engage the public more by having it start at 7 p.m. So we have that flexibility as well. So when the planner is setting the planning meeting, we can determine how many we're going to have. So if we just want to keep it to 2 each time, we'll be done by 4 o'clock or by 3:30. So that's something that we can do on our end too, to make sure that we don't go over. And if there is something that's contentious or we need the county to be here, we'll do it at 7 p.m. That way more members of the public could attend as well.
Thank you. Barbara?
So so it can be changed. It's like the calendar isn't set in stone. We will hold the planning meetings at 1 p.m. every fourth Wednesday of every month. But when we know that we need more time, you could just say the public planning meeting will be at 7 p.m. and not 1 o'clock when we give that enough notice. So in the case of having them in the morning, it still conflicts with your schedule. And I know you said before, you know, it's not about you, but it's also about everyone. So now where do we go from here, now that we're having a discussion and reconsidering this? What's that step? Because I like the idea of staff are flexible, the Planning Act is flexible about scheduling the meeting at a time to accommodate an issue. Are we staying at 9 o'clock and disregarding the clerk's conflict, or are we going to stay with 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock for the time being until we can sort this out? Just stay with the status quo, we sort it out, or do we go back to the original motion where it was proposed to be 1 and 3 o'clock?
Go ahead.
Mayor, members of council, I think another consideration is also the changes to the Planning Act and the shorter time frames to approving planning applications. So next year, we might actually have to go do 2 planning meetings per month, which solves that issue, and we'd be able to have all of our meetings done on time. So we would have greater flexibility of scheduling our public planning meetings in a way that would help us meet that 1 hour deadline or an hour and a half deadline. So when we are looking at the changes to the Planning Act and those shortened time periods, it means that maybe once a month might not work for a public planning meeting. So we will have to probably schedule 2 public planning meetings with the new council calendar. And that's something that we haven't yet discussed because we haven't had that situation yet. But if we are faced with that situation, that's another way where, as long as we're scheduling in advance, we can do that. And the other benefit is, when we change the procedural bylaw, there is no requirement for quorum or all members of council to be at a public meeting because it's a meeting for the public. So that's another aspect too. But that's just something that I just realized now that with the changes with the Planning Act, shorter time periods, we'll be in a situation that we might have to have 2 public planning meetings a month. And we could do one in the afternoon and 1 at night, depending on work. If that's something, we'll have to see how the next year goes with the amount of planning applications.
Okay.
More moving parts. Exactly.
Okay. Any more comments or questions? Barb?
I'm still not sure where we go, we obviously need to either let it stand as it was passed, or is this an we've not been in a reconsideration, we've been for a long time. So is there an opportunity to make an amendment, propose a new motion, deferral?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it seems with the facts you just mentioned about next year, I don't mind the idea of deferring it so we can have more information. For me, as I said, for me personally, and it's not about me, but 1 to 3 would have worked for me, 9 to 10:30 would have worked for me. If I know there's a public planning meeting, I'm gonna be there sometime, and I would like to come to them, even though it's a public meeting. So, let's go back to the original one you put on, say 1 to 3. I did not realize you had things during the day. Well, no, but Councilor Green's right. We all have issues. We all try and get here. So 1 to 3 works. Let's go back to your original.
So we do have a motion on the table right now, and that motion is the 9 and the 10:30. So we'd have to amend that. The motion that was put back on the table to open up the discussion. So it would have to be amended, or deferred, or voted on as it is. I think those are the 3 choices. Yeah. Go ahead.
Through Mayor, members of council, another option is, since our committee of adjustment meetings have been fairly short, when discussing this with the planner before, he had proposed a 2:30 start time. So that could be another option as opposed to starting at 3, that gives an extra half hour. What that half hour will do, it could mean a lot. So that could be a proposal 2, or a 1 o'clock and a 2:30 start.
So from my point of view, it's any more questions or discussion or motions, and if I don't see any, then we'll go with the original. Barbara?
All right, so I'll put it out there that I would move we amend the motion to start Committee of Adjustment at 1 o'clock and public planning at 2:30 p.m., effective September 2019, which will give us an opportunity to, sorry, I shouldn't comment until there's a seconder.
Okay. Martin seconds it. Barbara, do you have a question or comment?
I think having said that it would be good to start in January, and I'm okay with January 2020, but if we started in September, we can see how it works. And during budget discussions, and the clerk or the planner can come back to us and say, you know what, this isn't working for us, we've had to change the planning meeting, several times to allow more time. Failing that, you can have it in the morning and have Committee of Adjustment at 1 o'clock. We can be flexible. So if, unless the clerk feels that now that we've had the discussion that we should wait until January, or because it was your proposal to start in September.
Yeah, through Mayor, members of the council, my only suggestion to start in September was only because we have the time to do it now. We've got a little bit more flexibility preparing and changing those notices. If we do it in January, it doesn't really matter, so it would be up to council if they wish to start it now. The timing for the notice would be the same, because when we prepare the notices for September or for January, it would still be 20 to 30 days. So I'm open to it. If we wanted to wait till January, that's fine.
Okay. Perfect.
So you're going to have to, it's been a while, who is the planning secretary?
It's not me
It's
anymore.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Not me anymore.
Yeah.
I will not be able to.
We have a definite not me.
So that's one person we haven't considered in all of this. I think we've heard from the planner, we've heard from the clerk. I still think that we need to consider staff's time and commitments when we're making decisions about changing the schedule, so. I hesitate, but
Please use your microphone.
Thank you. Sorry, I had my finger finger on the pulse, but it wasn't working. I'm inclined to make it January 1st, 2020, and we can still have this discussion during budget deliberations.
Is that okay with the seconder?
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion on that amendment? So it's to be in the afternoon and not start till January 1st,
And I'd like a recorded vote.
and a recorded vote.
I heard that, Mr. Fruit.
No mic. A recorded vote was, was requested with regards to the motion, let me find it. Be it resolved that council receive staff report CL 2019-026 for information, and that council approve the Committee of Adjustment meeting start time to be changed to 1 p.m. effective January 1st, 2020, and that council approve the public planning meeting start time be changed to 2:30 p.m. effective January 1st, 2020, and that staff be directed to make the necessary changes to the council and committee calendar and updates to the website. Is everybody clear on that one?
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the amendment to start at 1 p.m. Councillor Fruit,
No.
Councillor Shipton,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Milne,
No.
Mayor Woodbury,
No.
Councillor Rice,
No.
Councillor Shearson,
Yes.
Councillor Dubreen,
Yes.
vote of 3 to 4, it, yeah.
Okay. So now we're back to the original motion, which was the one we voted on earlier today for meeting in the morning.
I'd like a recorded vote.
Okay.
A recorded vote was requested by Councillor Joe Breen with regards to, won't read it again, but Council Committee of Adjustment meeting start time at 9, effective September 1st, and public planning start time at 10:30 a.m. effective September 1st. Councillor Fruit,
Yes.
Councillor Shipton, Deputy Mayor Milne,
Yes.
Mayor Woodbury,
Yes.
Councillor Rice,
Yes.
Councillor Shearson,
No.
and Councillor Dubreen.
No.
Vote of 4 to 3, it carries.
Okay. So that's new business. We can move on now to the county report. One of the big things that was at the last county meeting was the 10-year capital forecast, and we got a big binder with a lot of things in it. I didn't bring mine in. Oh, it's a big binder. Folded pages, all kinds of numbers. It was impressive. But I'll bring it in for you guys because it'll let you know what roads they're thinking of redoing over the time and different things like that. So it may be helpful in our planning of some of the things to coordinate. So that was one of the major things. Budget looked pretty much on schedule for the year. They were looking at what to do with the county quarry that isn't being used much anymore, and I forget what ended up being. They're going to look at leasing it out at first, and if that doesn't work, then selling it would be the idea. And there wasn't much more, but it seemed to take all day to discuss it. So, anything you wanted to add, Brian?
Nope.
It was pretty straightforward. Okay, now I'll go back to our stuff. Members' privilege. Martin?
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention the blood donor clinic. It was a record breaker in so many ways, especially over a long weekend, with 22 people being deferred because of low count and not realizing they just got a tattoo or going out of the country. There was still 106 units collected, so that was 22 deferrals. So we're just hoping all the first timers come back for the next one. So that's over 300 lives saved. So it was a good day. And it was nice having 3 kids from the come
increasingly supportive the clinic. Barbara?
I've got a couple of things that are, it's a busy weekend coming up, and a busy time, summer in Southgate. We had a fun evening of music, entertainment, games, and YAC provided the concession on Sunday, June 30th for a Back to the Future screening on the outside wall of the Old Town Hall. It was also a perfect day and evening for the Holstein Optimist Car Show and Fireworks Festival. And this weekend, there's a swap meet in Dundalk and an agro fair in Holstein, so be sure to check those out. I did want to mention that at the request of a few Wilder Lake residents, concerned about algae growth in our waterways, SPCA is holding a free seminar on the protection of water quality in our lakes at the Optimist Hall in Holstein on Tuesday, July 9th at 7 p.m. And it's free.
Thank you. Anything from anyone else? Okay, and I'd like to also point out that, just also to point out that our deputy mayor is still being a champion of Southgate at the county level. I think they look to you every meeting to have something on what's going on here, which is really good. Go ahead, Tim.
I'd just like to recognize that two pillars of Proton Township that created, put their hands in creating this office and space here, passed away this past week, and that's Councillor Carl Chitka, who was involved with different committees over the time too, with the Southgate, and Helgi Scott for the clerk from Proton Township. So just wanted to.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's two people that put in a lot of work and very valuable stuff. And I know with Carl, he was still letting his opinions be known in the recent future, which is fantastic. It's great to see people involved. And Helgi did an awful lot for this township over the years, and I had the fortune of dealing with her back when I was on Dundalk Council, and it was a separate program here. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Anything else on that? Okay, we have a resolution, be it resolved bylaw number 2019-109, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation and Township of Southgate at its regular meeting held on July 3rd, 2019, be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and sealed with the seal of the corporation, and entered into the bylaw book. Do I have a mover for that? Barbara and Martin, any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. And Brian would like to move that